Good evening. This is a late start here on a Wednesday night. This is what I was doing at the usual 8 o'clock hour. Out taking the kid out to dinner. Went to an Italian restaurant there and just a little bit of bits and pieces of
there's a $4.95 one.
the dinner. That time code is wrong, so just ignore that.
The more powerful it is, it gets really hot because it's microwave.
So I got a little quaint little Italian restaurant there, and that was pretty nice. And it's 11 o'clock, and here's the weather picture. Got southeast. No, we don't. Usually we start out with these southeast winds, but let me open my sketching tool here. Normally we have southeast winds at this time of year. We've got something a little different here. We have north winds starting to sink into Texas. Why is that? Well, here's the pressure field. If we look at these values, there's 1014, 1016, 1018. So we have high pressure up to the north. And if you go all the way offshore, we got a little weather system out there. Tropical storm Hermine. That's not going to affect Texas. That will affect Georgia and Florida over the next day or so. Let's start out with the big picture again. I've gone over this the past couple days, the way we look at the large-scale picture, and we kind of paint out just the major weather systems. So we have high pressure over Canada here, low pressure there in Montana, low pressure with the heat low there in Arizona, and off the Pacific coast there's a large high pressure area, and let's see, this area here off in the Atlantic is a very large high pressure area. That's the Bermuda High, and a piece of that extends all the way into the Gulf, and embedded in that are these two tropical systems here, one there, looks like another one off the coast of North Carolina there. So, keeping that in mind, we can pick any place in the U.S. and talk about what's affecting that spot. So right here in Illinois, we can see that's under the influence of this high pressure area, pushing north winds into the Midwest like that. So Oregon right here, dominated by westerly flow coming in from the high pressure area out in the Pacific, flowing into this frontal low that's going across Montana there. Okay, there's Hermine right there. It's just a tropical storm. I think when I checked the winds, there are only about 30 or 40 knots there. But the center of that system is in here. And that's going to move up to the northeast. So it shouldn't be much of a factor there. Let's take a look at the soundings real quick, because there's a lot to be learned here. Do you remember when I pulled up Corpus Christi, how tropical that sounding looked a couple days ago? Well, here's Fort Worth. Sounding looks a little bit more like what we have in the spring, so there's more dry air. In fact, it's almost an inverted V. Not quite. It's in the desert Southwest, you would have that V shape a little wider. But it does show that we have some dry air starting to advect in from the northeast. And a little bit of subsidence inversion up at about 15,000 feet there. So getting a very slight change to the pattern there. Let's pick another sounding. We'll try Springfield, Missouri. There it looks a little bit tropical. Not a whole lot of moisture because we start out at about 68, 69 Fahrenheit, and it becomes dry as you go up with height. These are 0Z soundings here, by the way. And we can pick up a few more soundings here just to kind of get familiar with some of these profiles. This here is Salem, Oregon, showing a westerly flow. getting some cooler air coming back in behind that front from the Pacific, and you can see that we have a surface temperature of about 68 Fahrenheit, and it cools rapidly with height, so there's also some instability there. Very steep lapse rate there, but it's capped here by this subsidence inversion based at about 11 to 12,000 feet. So any cumulus we get back there are going to be kind of shallow. They're going to be capped by that subsidence inversion there. And one more, what can we pick? Post-frontal air coming in, International Falls. Well, we're missing the significant level data there. Let's try Minneapolis. There we go. Got about 73, 74 at the surface, so that's going to be cool conditions, relatively cool this time of year, with cool air just off the surface, slightly drier air than what we've seen over the past couple days. And there you can see northerly winds at all levels, all the way from the surface up to about, good grief, all the way up to into the stratosphere there. So that's obviously going to be affecting in some milder, drier, slightly, cooler air. And I thought about doing the soundings tonight because, it's 11 o'clock, might as well do something different, but I couldn't get all the source material all organized in time. So I may have to wait until tomorrow to do that. To do that. All right, what else can we cover here? Let's we don't have a whole lot going on today, so I'll probably just kind of close out here with the 250 millibar heights and winds. Let me load that up. We don't have all of the newer model data, so I'm going to pick the 18Z. Pull that up here really quick. Okay, so here's our 0-hour panel. Shows a very large ridge in the central U.S. all the way up to Saskatchewan. This also shows a very broad trough off the Atlantic coast and a very somewhat sharper trough along the Pacific coast. See right there? So trough east and trough west, that's going to put the Great Plains under kind of a fair pattern. We're going to expect subsidence kind of in this area here, maybe a little bit further downstream, kind of like that. So this area ahead of the ridge, that's going to suppress a lot of the vertical motion there. And then off to the west, this is where we would expect to find upward motion right there, because that's just ahead of the trough. And let's see, polar front jet well up to the north. So there's our jet pattern right there. And a couple of areas of subtropical jet stream energy right there in California to Nevada. Maybe a piece of subtropical jet like that. And let's see, here in Texas, we're under weak westerly flow. Looks like the high pressure area loft that tends to keep things very hot is centered right here around Monterrey, Mexico. So we're not going to see much in the way of 100-degree weather here in Texas. So let's see, moving on forward into Friday. Wow, the weekend's here almost again. This has been a fast week, really. Okay, so Thursday night, Friday, there we go. Ridge affecting most of the plains here. That's progressing very quickly eastward. Then as we get into the weekend, we start bringing the trough into the Rocky Mountain region. Flow starting to increase dramatically across the central and northern plains, and see this area of very stronger winds coming on the backside. There's kind of a basic rule of thumb. When you have a trough and you have stronger winds coming to the backside compared to the front side, you tend to get deepening of that trough. And we're seeing a little bit of deepening here. Things look to get pretty active there in Colorado, but not quite enough to help us out. It looks like that kind of fills in. Get one little slug of energy here on September 11th. That's going to be about a little over a week from now. So it looks like things will be pretty active in the central and northern plains this upcoming week. And for Texas, well, let's see, Texas, what are we looking at here? Looks like we're going to be under a ridge over the weekend. See that right there? I'm talking about this anticyclonic flow that indicates a ridge. So things are going to stay kind of warm. And then the model starts to build in a closed height contour there. So it looks like it's going to stay kind of warm through the next week or so. And only around, let's see, September 8th to 9th, that's quite a ways off, but it tries to bring in a little bit stronger flow into Texas, the north part of Texas. So, we'll watch for that right there. Look at that. There's a piece of 40, 50 knot winds coming in the Panhandle and the Red River Valley. Okay. So it looks like for the most part things are going to be kind of quiet. There was one little thing that I was seeing here. Let me pick that chart out. It looked like around Tuesday next week I was seeing a little bit of stronger moisture coming up towards Texas. Let me advance this up. Okay, so we're looking at precipitable water. And here it is. You see it off the Gulf Coast there around Sunday. Look at that piece of energy come up. So we may see, I think this may be kind of in the form of a sea breeze, a very active sea breeze. Probably on Tuesday, probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, around there. Looks like that's going to be mostly east of I-35 into Louisiana and Arkansas. And other than that, I think we're going to be under a ridge there, and we're going to be pretty warm temperatures in the 90s. And then after that, maybe we'll get a piece of fall settling in. Okay, I think that's about it. U.S. weather radar's pretty inactive there. Just a few showers along the Appalachians there. Looks like some tropical stuff there in Florida. And the remains of this upslope, this humid upslope flow in Texas. But we're going to be bringing in some drier air gradually into the southern U.S. So we'll probably see that start to abate a little bit. Anyway, guys, I think that's about all I got. So I will see you tomorrow at the usual time, about 8 o'clock, and thanks for watching. We'll see you then.